Module 1, Overview of Oracle Inventory. By the end of this module, you'll be able to understand overview of Oracle Inventory and benefits, and you'll then be able to understand the receipt to issue life cycle. You'll learn the concept of something called as receiving inventory, transferring inventory, and issuing inventory as a part of receipt to issue life cycle. Then I will explain you the integration of Oracle Inventory with other transactional applications, which could include applications from procurement, from order management, from planning to manufacturing and projects. Finally, we'll also understand the integration of Oracle Inventory with other subledger financial applications such as account receivables, fixed assets, account payables, projects, and so on. At the end, I will summarize all the steps for you to complete your inventory implementation. Alright, so let's get started with the first topic of overview of Oracle Inventory and benefits. Now, the whole course has been designed with an idea that you have little or no background of Oracle Inventory, and that's the reason I will start from the scratch of explaining you the concept of inventory in an organization. Alright, so as far as Oracle Inventory is concerned, it's one of the core modules that you must set up prior to setting up your other subledger and transactional application modules such as payables, receivables, fixed assets, or modules from procurement or order management side. As you could see on this slide, the entire Oracle eBusiness suite setup starts by setting up the basic organizational structure in the applications. So wherein you first start by setting up your accounting structure in general ledger module. So what does the component of accounting structure includes? It basically includes components such as chart of accounts, setting up your primary ledger, and then setting up of your legal entities and operating units as depicted out here. Okay, so the first thing is you set up your accounting structure, and then you set up your primary ledger and attach the accounting structure there. You can optionally set up your secondary ledgers or reporting currencies subledger, but again that's an optional step. So once you are done with setting up your ledger, then you go ahead and set up your legal entities and operating unit, and then that's where you reference your primary ledger. So that's where a link gets established between your accounting structure and your legal entities and operating unit. Okay, and then once you have set up your basic company structure in Oracle application, then you move on to other core modules of Oracle application, which could include inventory or eBusiness tax. You can start by setting up of either of these modules. Either you can start by setting up eBusiness tax, or you can start by setting up the inventory module. And finally, the last one is system administrator module, which you keep leveraging while you are setting up the whole of these applications to basically apply your company policies around your security and data access. So system administrator, again, they've got three modules out there. The system administration module itself, then you can establish your user access and security around that using functional administrator module, and all the data access related setups can be done through Oracle user management module. In addition to that, Oracle provides a number of ways in which you can set up data access which are specific to application modules. For example, in general ledger you've got something like segment security rules, wherein you can set up those rules to control access to your accounting structure. So all that is basically covered as far as the specific setups to general ledger is covered in the general ledger course. But coming back to the inventory course, so out of these two modules, say inventory or eBusiness tax setup, if you decide to start by setting up your inventory module, so basically you start by setting up the core setups of inventory module. So what I've done out here in the next slide is something that I've divided these setups into three categories of areas so that we can have a clear understanding of entire inventory setup and implementation. And finally, understand the receipt to issue transactional flow. Alright, so you basically start by setting up your inventory organizational structure in Oracle inventory module. So what's an inventory organization structure? An inventory organization structure could include your manufacturing centers, your distribution centers, or your physical warehouses itself. Okay, so that's what you can link and set up as a part of Oracle inventory. What the best part of this setup is that if it's a very large organization which is spread across multiple countries, say the organization is headquarters in New Zealand, it's got its subsidiaries in Australia, India, China, and Singapore, and then each of those subsidiaries have got their distribution centers. And say for example, if you've got a manufacturing done in China or Vietnam or a couple of other countries, so all that you can do it, everything of what I've just spoken, everything can be done in one setup as a part of one instance setup of Oracle eBusiness Suite in Oracle Inventory. So all that, everything comes at one place, and that's what is the concept of ERP. But anyway, coming back to inventory, so all those manufacturing distribution centers or your warehouses can be set up as a part of your inventory organizational structure, so which includes setting up your inventory organizations, which could be physical or virtual locations of your distribution centers or your manufacturing centers. Then you set up your sub inventories. Again, it could be physical or logical structure of your warehouses. Then within sub inventories you set up locators, and once you set up your locators, then you set up your items. And then again, as a part of item setup, it's a huge setup in itself. So there are some prerequisites that you have to complete, and then there are some post requisites that you have to complete. So prerequisite could include completing setups such that something like setting up of item templates, your unit of measures, your attributes or attribute groups, and then interdependencies between attribute groups. And then once you set up your items, then again you've got an option to set up your lot control or serial control around your items. So that was the first part, and the second part is setting up your transactions, wherein you set up your transactional types, and a number of other transactional setups are there. Along with that, what I've listed out here is the core. One of the core and most important part of your transactional setup is your available to promise rules, or your ATP rules, that you set up based on your demand and supply sources. And finally, the third part of the setup involves setting up of your planning, forecasting, and replenishment. So wherein Oracle inventory basically provides you a number of ways you can do your planning, forecasting, and replenishment. For example, tools such as min-max planning or reorder point planning that could be leveraged to do the planning and do the replenishment of your inventory from various sources that you have defined as a part of your Oracle eBusiness Suite setup. Now what I'll do it is, at this point of time I will move ahead and I will let you understand a couple of more capabilities and benefits of Oracle inventory, although we understood in summary in the previous slide. And then while I'm explaining you this, I will also take you on to Oracle applications to understand a little more about these capabilities. So the first point, as I said, you can define organizational structure. So what do you mean by organizational structure? As I've explained you, your organizational structure could include these aspects, wherein you can depict your manufacturing factories, or you can depict your distribution centers or physical warehouses in inventory. So that's what is something like an organizational structure, and within that you go and define your locators, items, and couple of setups related to items, such as if you want to implement serial control or lot control within items, then you go about and defining that. So all that you do it in inventory. So let's go to Oracle applications. See, here I've got the Oracle application instance open. So for you to define your organizational setup, all you've got to do it is you basically got to go to setup, and you've got to navigate to something called as organizations, and all the setups related to your organizational structure setup has been listed out here. So as you could see, you can start by defining your organizations, which is nothing but your inventory organizations. Then you can define your parameters in relation to those inventory organizations, which could include inventory related parameters, which could include your receiving related parameters, which could include customer supplier related parameters, and parameters that links an inventory organization to an operating unit and legal entity and a ledger. Okay, so that's what are parameters. Then as you could see, there are a number of other setups that are out there. You can define locations of your organization. For example, if your factory is located in China, you can define a location, and that location you can attach it to an organization. Similarly, you can define your employees, your workday calendars, your sub inventories, which could be your physical or logical warehouses. And just as I was explaining out here, you can define your locators, lot control and serial control around your organizational inventory structure setup. So all that you can do it out here. So as you could see here, you can define your stock locators, and then if you move on, you've got a number of other setups which you can do it as a part of your inventory organizational setup, which includes your defining what you call as shipping networks. So shipping networks are something like for example, if you are shipping from your China factory to New Zealand distribution center, then that's like a network, shipping network you're defining, and it might incur some charge, and then it might hit some inventory account because valuation of inventory might change, and then it might end up in generating invoices. So you can basically define your shipping networks, and there is a related setup for intercompany transfer that you can define and leverage this functionality there. Okay, so all that is a part of your inventory organizational structure setup, the first part. Okay, then we'll move on. Define items. So once you have got your inventory organizational structure set up, you move on to define and assign your items to your inventory organization and sub inventories. So where you go about doing that, as a part of your inventory item setup, before you actually go and do that, there are a number of prerequisites that you have to complete as a part of your item setup. So if you scroll down here, or let's see where, scroll down, not scroll down, scroll up. Okay, so here you can see something called as items. If you expand that, all the item related setups, prerequisite and post requisite setups have been listed out here. Although Oracle Inventory allows you to enter the items manually by yourself, but it's a very big task in entering them yourself. For example, if I go to the items form over here, so as you could see, this is the form wherein you can define your items, and as you could see, there are a huge load of setups and attribute associated with each of the functional area of your item setup. For example, you see that if you integrate with bills of materials and your manufacturing, your work in process modules, then you've got setups related to your bills of material and your work in process modules out here, or I should say attributes related to those modules over here. And again, if you are integrating with purchasing, then you've got your attributes in relation to purchasing and receiving. So it's kind of very difficult to set up all these at once. You might end up in forgetting this, and that's where you can set up something called as item templates. So item templates are, as the name suggests, templates wherein you can simply go and define these attributes in advance, and those details you can simply apply it from a template while you are defining the item right from here. So you use that copy from functionality wherein you can copy either from an existing item or you can copy it from a template that you have predefined, which defaults all these attributes over here. So it basically significantly results in your data entry time, plus it also helps you to standardize your item definition within your organization. As a part of your item setup, you also define something called as item categories, item category sets, locator control, and serial controls. Again, for example, if you take a simple example, you go to eBay and you want to buy something. So you could see that everything is categorized into multiple categories, and you would see hyperlinks out there. For example, you've got a computer category, then you've got a consumer goods category, you might have a kids category. So all those are something like your category sets, and within each of those category sets you've got categories associated. For example, when you click on computers, you might see categories, say desktop, laptop, palm top, or maybe other things, other categories out there. So that's what is the concept of item category sets and categories. And then you define your locator control and serial control. So again, this is an optional step as far as locator control and serial control is concerned, but most of the time it is done if it's a distribution or a manufacturing organization. So as a part of your item setup, you define that controls over here. So you could see that locator control over here. Similarly, you can define your lot control and serial controls as a part of your item setup. So let's go back here. Then you've got transact inventory items for receipt and issues, and then track on hand inventory. So basically you can transact or you can perform all kind of transactions in inventory, which could include your purchasing transactions, your manufacturing transactions, your order management related transactions. For example, in purchasing transaction, you deal with the supplier, you buy the goods, then when you buy the goods, the good comes to your docks, and that's where you receive the goods. And once you receive it successfully, then you place it into your warehouse to stock it. Okay, and then once you buy these goods, it could be finished goods or components, and that's where manufacturing uses it. So you transfer from your warehouse to manufacturing shop floor. So that's another transaction, is it not so? But that's an issue transaction. The first one was receipt transaction, which comes in, and the second one was going out. Similarly, you've got order management related transaction, wherein you book customer orders, and based on the customer orders, the warehousing clerks will pick the goods or finished goods from your warehouses and ship it to the customer. Again, that's a issue transaction. Okay, so for doing your transaction, it's advisable to define your ATP rules. Especially this ATP rules is a concept that's leveraged as a part of your order management and your while you are booking an order, you would like to know, for example, if you're booking a 13.3 inches laptop, which say as an example, if it's a part of your offering to the customers, and you would like to know what are my current on hand availability for those laptops, and then if it's currently not available in my warehouse, then whether it's been ordered through the supplier. So if it's ordered through the supplier, how many days it's going to take when it comes to my warehouse. So based on this, your current availability or your near future availability or your manufacturing capacity, that's where you go back to your customer and you promise your customers that, okay, on this date I'm gonna fulfill this customer order and ship this order to you. And that's what is the concept of your available to promise, which you determine based on your demand and supply sources. Okay, and that's what you again define it as a part of your inventory model. So if I go into Oracle inventory, I can define all those rules around here. If you go rules, that's the place wherein you define those available to promise rules. So if I simply open that, that's where you define all your demand and supply sources. Okay, again, what all you select depends on your organization policies plus the complete e-business suite setup that you are doing it. Okay, then you've got something called as you have timely inventory valuation done and integrate with your subledger application and primary ledger to finally comply with regulatory and statutory reporting requirements. So this is like integration. As I have been explaining you, inventory is a module that integrates with all your subledger applications and your transactional applications. So which includes application from manufacturing, procurement, and order management side, and then it includes applications, your subledger applications like account payables or receivables or fixed assets or potentially projects module. So all that helps you to integrate everything and helps you to evaluate your inventory at any point of time, And certainly when you have got the correct inventory valuation done at a period ending closing time, then you've got to report that as a part of your regulatory and statutory reporting requirement. For example, at the end of a fiscal year, you may want to have that reporting, or maybe as a part of your monthly reporting, you may want to report internally your current inventory valuation. What is that to the C-level executives within the company, so that they can make further decision making and policies around the organizational business. So let's proceed ahead. Then you've got a couple of other benefits and capabilities out here. You can implement your inspection and quality control policies by integrating with purchasing and Oracle quality. Certainly when supplier ships the material to your buying organization based on a purchase order, you would like to make sure that the supplier has complied with the terms and conditions agreed as a part of the purchase order, which would include terms in relation to the quality. So you can again integrate your inspection and quality control policies with these modules to implement them. So as soon as the goods comes from suppliers, you can first use your purchase order to match to the goods that have come, and receive those in your staging area, and that's where you perform your inspection and quality controls. And the results of that inspection and quality controls can be again leveraged as a part of implementation of Oracle quality module, which you can integrate with inventory module. And finally, once the goods comply with the quality standards that you have agreed with the supplier, that's where you transfer those goods in your finished goods warehouses. Okay, so that's the summary of this point. Then you've got leverage ATP rules to make reservations or manually make reservations for your demand sources, and then issue material against those reservations. Certainly I've explained you the concept of ATP rules. It's basically based on your demand and supply sources, and it helps the sales organization to basically promise the customers on to which date they can provide or supply goods to the customer based on the customer orders. So once they promise the customer, that's where a reservation comes into picture. So that reservation is based on the sales order that the customer has placed, and no one else can basically use the goods that's been reserved against those sales order. So that's the concept of reservation based on the demand sources. So here the demand source is the sales order, and the reservation is based on that demand sources. And then once you've got the goods replenished in your fixed in your finished goods warehouse, that's where you basically issue the material to the customer based on the sales order and based on the reservation that you made, and that's where you ship the material to the customer. So it completes that sales order cycle. Okay, then you've got a very good capability in inventory, as I've explained you a little while ago, around the planning, forecasting, and replenishment. And you've got a number of tools that Oracle has provided to automate those planning and forecasting and replenishment. Again, these tools are provided, I would say, potentially for medium to large organizations. But if it's large or extra large organization which would like to centralize their planning, forecasting, replenishment, demand management, then it may be a good idea to explore Oracle functionality in their separate offerings, which is called as Advanced Planning Suite of Modules, which includes modules such as Advanced Supply Chain Planning, which includes your demand management, and which includes a number of other modules that comes with the Advanced Planning Suite of Modules. Oracle has also of late, from past couple of years, they are offering a product such as Demantra, which takes care of all the demand management and integrates very well with your e-business suite instance as well as your advanced planning instance. Okay, then as far as inventory module is concerned, if you would like to implement these tools, you can basically do that here. So let me just take you to that place in inventory. So if you scroll up, you'll find something called as planning out here. So let me just minimize this. Yeah, so you've got something called as planning tool. So that's where you can leverage all these tools that Oracle has provided, such as min-max planning, reorder point planning, and you can set up your safety stock. You can have a look at your demand history and do your demand management out here and your replenishment over here. Okay, then as a part of your internal processes, you can also leverage other functionalities within Oracle for inventory valuation, which could include your cycle counting or physical counting, and Oracle has got those tools again in the applications to automate that. So as you could see, you've got a feature called as cycle counting, which is a counting which you do it within the system on a specific cycle. Then physical counting is something that you do it physically, wherein the warehouse staff will go and physically count those each of the inventory items in the warehouses and report the discrepancies based on what is already there in the system, and then works closely with the finance to have those adjustments recorded in the system and get it reconciled in the system. So that's the functionality of cycle counting and physical counting. Likewise, you've got something called as Kanban cards, but again that's a part of your manufacturing, again which you can leverage in integration with other manufacturing modules. Alright, so let's go back here. Yeah, so that's what I meant. The last point I've explained you, to maintain the inventory accuracy and execute your internal policies by leveraging physical counting, cycle counting, etc. So these are all in short the benefits and capabilities of inventory modules, and this is what I'm gonna explain you in the whole course, wherein we will first start with setting up the inventory organizational structure. We'll complete the organizational structure, wherein we'll start by setting the inventory organization, the organization parameters. We understand the concept of sub inventories, locators. Then we'll define the item prerequisite, item itself, then post requisite. Finally, we'll understand the concept of lot and serial control, and then we'll perform transactions. So that's part one of the course, and then as we understand the basics of the inventory, which is covered in part one of the course, then we'll go on to the advanced concept to understand the planning, forecasting, and replenishment.